So today we are going to change the fuel filters for our 2014 Grand Cherokee Overland EcoDiesel. These instructions should be valid for any recent model Grand Cherokee with the EcoDiesel 3-liter diesel engine. First thing you'll need is two fuel filters, part number 04726067AA. Be advised that you do need two of these when you service the fuel filters. If you get it from the dealership, I think the retail price is like 55 or 60 bucks a piece. You shop on Amazon, I found these for 35 a piece. Because our vehicle is under warranty, I'm a stickler about using Mopar branded parts for all the critical components. Other parts you'll need is a catch pan, because we'll have to be draining up the diesel fuel filter tank. So you need a catch pan. I also have a drop cloth, just kind of catch any kind of diesel splashes. Our Overland has the Quadra ride, so I put in off-road 2, which gives me enough room to work under here. But for safety measures, I do have jack stands, which is placed under our rock rail that we installed for the Grand Cherokee. That's just in case the air system drops down. It shouldn't in off-road 1 or 2 settings, because the computer assumes that you're off-road, and it shouldn't lower the vehicle in the event that you get ice-centered. But just in case, it is a computer, so I don't really trust my lives with computers. So as a safety factor, use jack stands just to make sure the vehicle doesn't come down on you. It'll be a very slow and painful pain, let's just call it that way. Other tools you'll need is a very big tipped Phillips screwdriver just to get the screw started. Then you'll move to a shorter, stubby Phillips screwdriver, so I have room to actually unscrew with the catch pan in place. You'll also need a 1 1/16 inch socket to break the fuel filters loose. Once you get it loose, you'll be unscrewing it by hand, so it doesn't take a lot of torque. And if I can scoot down here. So I am on the driver's side looking in. That's the rear of the Jeep. This is the front, so I'm on the driver's side. And these two locations, these are the fuel filters, and this is the, I guess, the water drain valve. So the very first thing we're going to do is unscrew this and then let it drain into the catch pan. Make sure your catch pan is big enough to hold, I think they said up to a gallon. So yeah, you will lose up to a gallon of diesel fuel in this process, so please make sure your tank has fuel into it. Otherwise, when you go to prime it, you won't have enough fuel to start the vehicle. So first thing we're going to do, unscrew this, let it drain out to the catch pan. Otherwise, if you take these out first, you're going to have a huge splash of diesel fuel all over the place. Once this drain valve is, or once the diesel fuel is drained out, then we can break these two apart, take it down, swap out the filters, put it back in, tighten everything up. So we'll just go step by step. I'm waiting for my diesel to drain out. Make sure your catch pan's in place. It is going to splash a lot. I want to call out some precautions and safety measures. Please use common sense if you're doing this at home. Before your hands get close to anywhere near there, if you're laying on a rubber mat like I am, make sure your hand is grounded to the ground. Touch something else metal in the vehicle first. Make sure you're grounded so this doesn't arc or anything before you put your hands around that area. Explosions and fires most likely won't happen with diesel fuel, because unlike gasoline, gasoline vapors are flammable, whereas diesel vapors are not as flammable. It's not as volatile. Of course, you put a match up to it, it will still ignite. So again, no smoking, no heaters. Make sure you're grounded, just like putting gas in your tank. Make sure you're grounded and everything before you continue. Kind of looks like the dripping has stopped, so I'm going to crack loose the fuel filters. Alright, so I've already removed both fuel filters. You basically unscrew it, give it a light little tug, it'll pop out. A little bit more fuel is going to spill out, so be mindful of that. Have your catch pan ready. There's filter 1, there's filter 2, same exact part. So according to the instructions, I am going to lubricate this hole right here with a little bit of diesel fuel, and you basically use your finger and touch the diesel fuel filter on the outside, lubricate it gently. Diesel oil or diesel fuel actually has oil in it, so diesel fuel in itself has its lubricating properties. And then this O-ring down here, you're going to use engine oil just to kind of lubricate it very lightly. Don't need a lot, just to make sure the seal goes in and you don't like twist the O-ring when we screw it back in. So on the next step, I'm going to lubricate this with a little bit of diesel oil or diesel fuel. locate or lubricate this O-ring with motor oil, and I'm going to put these back in. If you have an inch-pound torque, it's 100 and I want to say 100. I think it was 117 inch-pounds. I'll go look it back up again, which equates to just over 9 foot-pounds. So basically, hand tighten, not as tight as the oil filter because this is plastic. You strip this, you have to go buy another one. This is actually attaching to a metal frame, so if anything, if you ruin the threads, it'll be this one, not the threads on the tank itself. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this very well because you got sunlight back there. You do want to wipe clean all the residual stuff before you attach the new filters, so I'll go ahead and take care of that. So what I'm doing now is I'm hand tightening it as much as I can. Actually, I'm gonna there it goes. Snug it down till it catches right there, and once it catches, all you do is give it a small little tug, and that's all you do. Do not over tighten it, otherwise you're going to buy some more expensive filters. Wipe up the mess. What I'm going to do is get some brake cleaner. It'll help kind of clean up all the surfaces. So I don't know if you can see this or not. You do want to make sure you get a towel and wipe up here as much as you can, just to get as much diesel fuel out of here as possible. It'll eventually air out, and there's no real hot components right nearby, so you don't have to worry about too much about ignition, or igniting the fuel rather. But problem is, diesel fuel, unlike gasoline will evaporate, you know, a couple minutes, maybe a half hour, and doesn't smell like gasoline. Diesel fuel smell seems to linger quite much longer, which is probably another reason why, if you look at the service maintenance intervals, the in-cabin filter is every 10,000 miles versus the gasoline version, which I think is listed for 20,000. They don't cost that much. I use a charcoal one, but I do that one every 15 anyways. But anyways, wipe it up real good, nice and clean. Wipe up any splatters, any spills. Everything's good to go. Next step we're going to do is prime it. And to prime it, if you got the push button start, you do not push the brake pedal. You just hit the on button twice, which will basically put it in the on position, but won't start the engine. You let it run like that for about 30 seconds. It'll prime the fuel tank. It'll basically put fuel into here. You push the on button again to turn everything off, and then you repeat the process one more time. So hit the on button twice, let it prime for about 30 seconds, and then turn it off. On your third attempt, go ahead and start the vehicle. The vehicle should start after the second attempt. If it doesn't start, you can do the priming cycle one more time. Also note that if it does start, it may sputter a little bit as it's getting the air out of the system. Just let it sputter. It'll eventually go the air out of the system and start running smooth again. So that's our next step. Alright, so we are inside the Jeep. And like I said earlier, do not press the brake. We'll just push the on button once, twice. Let it prime. We're counting 30 seconds. And I can actually hear, if it's real quiet, you can actually hear the fuel priming below. You'll hear it pumping and pumping. You hear a bunch of air noise, some gushing noises. And then once you hear the motor stop, we'll turn it off. And then we'll do it one more time. Push the on button once and twice. And in case you're wondering, so the fuel filter service is scheduled for 25,000 miles. We are about to take a road trip. It's a 2,000 mile round trip. So I figured at 24,350, I'd go ahead and do the fuel filter now. It's one thing I don't have to worry about later. Okay, fuel pump, I don't hear it anymore. What I'm going to do is before I start it, I'm going to go back underneath the Jeep just to make sure nothing's leaking at this point. Then I'm going to come back in here and try to start it. So if you can see, we're looking, we don't see any fuel leaks or anything. So now we're going to go back inside and try to start it. Foot on the brake. So it did start. We're going to give it like a minute or so to see if it kind of sputters a little bit. If it does, we'll let it sputter through. I'm also going to lower the vehicle back down to ride height. Since I'm not working down there anymore, I can lower it to regular height. I can just do a crawl under it and check for leaks here in a minute. We've been running for about 2 minutes, no sputtering. Everything's working pretty good. So, yeah, diesel fuel filter job done. All in all, including cleanup, preparation, grabbing tools and everything, this can be done easily in under an hour. Save yourself a couple bucks from going to the dealership, get the parts, do it yourself. Not a hard job to do. Alright, thanks for watching.